Enuma Elish lanabu shamanu. Shapli shamatum shuma lazagrat. Before the universe existed, there were two gods, Apsu, the sweetwater god, and Tiamat, the saltwater goddess. Once upon a time, they combined their waters and created two new gods. They named them Lahmu and Lahamu. When they grew up, two more gods were created, Anshar and Kishar, and after them came Anu and his son Ea, the god of wisdom and magic. With time, the new gods started to disturb Apsu and Tiamat. They misbehaved, were loud and disrespectful. Apsu did not take it lightly. Neither did Tiamat, though she chose to look past it. But Apsu couldn't let go of it, so he went to his vizier, Mumu, and told him, "Mumu, my vizier who makes my spirit rejoice, come, let us go to Tiamat." They went and sat down before Tiamat. Then Apsu said, "By day I find no rest, by night I cannot sleep. I will destroy their ways, so that silence may be restored." "What? Should we destroy that which we have created? Their ways are disgusting, but let us put up with them," Tiamat said. Apsu and Mumu left Tiamat, and when Tiamat didn't hear, Mumu told Apsu, "Destroy them, then you will have rest by day and sleep at night." Apsu planned to kill his sons with Mumu, but they spoke too loud and the other gods heard them. But nobody dared to do anything except for Ea. That night, Ea cast a spell on Apsu and made him drown in sleep. Then Ea bound his great father and killed him. But Ea wasn't done. He killed Mumu too, and only then could he rest sure, knowing that no one wanted to kill them anymore. But that was only true until the news reached Tiamat. When Tiamat found out what Ea had done to her husband, she turned furious and transformed. She decided to kill them all to avenge Apsu. Tiamat created demons in the shape of snakes, lions, and bulls, 11 in total, with Kingu as their leader. Tiamat gave them all invincible weapons, and to Kingu she gave the Tablet of Destiny, the strongest force in the universe. The one in possession of this tablet had the authority and power to dictate the fate of all things in the universe. When Ea found out about this, he turned numb. He eventually gathered the strength to visit Anshar and admit his mistake. "Father Anshar, Tiamat, who gave birth to us, is enraged. She has created an army of demons and armed them with invincible weapons." Anshar thought long before he said anything. "You provoked the war, son. Take responsibility for what you alone have done. You killed Apsu and made Tiamat furious." "Father Anshar, calm down for me for a moment. I want to say something to you. Consider that I performed a good deed. Before I killed Apsu, who could have foreseen the present situation?" But Anshar wasn't interested in hearing Ea's excuses. "Go before Tiamat and stop the attack." Ea left and took the road to Tiamat. But when he saw her and her army, he fell silent and turned back. Before long he had returned to Anshar again. "Father Anshar, I took the road to Tiamat. Her strength is mighty. She's full of dread. She's strengthened by an army of demons. No one can go against her." Anshar cried out in fury. "Anu!" he shouted. Anu, Anshar's son, came forth. "Hurry and stand before Tiamat. You must calm her down." Anu immediately took the road to Tiamat. A while later, he came back to Anshar, and all the Igigi and Anunnaki gods had gathered. Ea was also there, and all were eager to hear what Anu had to say. "Father, her strength is mighty. I had to turn back. Send someone else against her." Anshar fell into silence. He peered at Ea and shook his head. None of the gods said a word. They all sat in silence, as if the universe had come to an end, and they would all die. Tiamat and her army were the most powerful force in the universe. and there was no way Tiamat would change her attitude towards her sons and grandsons who killed her husband. Then suddenly, Ea's son, Marduk, stepped forward and broke the silence. When Marduk was born, his grandfather Anu gave him double divinity. He gave him all 4 powerful winds. Thus, Marduk possessed powers that no other god did, but he was still young and inexperienced. I will go and fulfill your desires. Anshar regained some hope and said with all enthusiasm he could muster, "Leave with the storm chariot, without delay." "Lord of the gods," Marduk said to Anshar and continued, "if I should kill Tiamat and save your lives, assemble the gods and proclaim me king." There was no time to lose. Tiamat could attack any moment, so Anshar told his vizier, Gaga, to gather the gods. All of them came. They sat together at the table of gods and ate bread and drank beer. And speaking of divine food, I just wanted to let you know that I'm making a cookbook called Table of Gods. It's inspired by the world's oldest recipes written on clay tablets 4,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia, during an era when all Mesopotamian gods were fed in their temples 4 times daily. If you go to tableofgods.com/YT, you can get 3 of these ancient recipes and sign up on the waiting list to be the first to know when I release the book. Apart from recipes, the book includes stories, tales, and legends about kings, queens, and gods from ancient Mesopotamia. Now back to the gods' last supper. After the gods had dined, they agreed on Marduk's terms. If he killed Tiamat and instilled order in the universe, they would proclaim him king of the gods. The gods gave Marduk a mace and a rod and armed him with weapons. Anshar approached Marduk and whispered in his ears, "Go cut Tiamat's throat." Marduk took up his club and held it in his right hand. His bow and quiver hung at his side. He made a net and took all 4 winds with him. But Marduk wasn't alone. Other warrior gods joined him and stepped into the storm chariot as Marduk rode it to meet Tiamat and engage in a big bang that the universe had never seen before. When Marduk saw Tiamat, he realized why his father and grandfather had turned back. Not only was Tiamat terrifying, but her army was too. The gods who accompanied Marduk wanted to turn back, but Marduk raised his voice and talked so everybody on both sides of the battlefield could hear. "The children made noises and did not show their elders respect, but you, who gave birth to them, hate all sympathy. You made Kingu your spouse and appointed him to the rank of Anu. Against Anshar, the king of the gods, you caused trouble. And against the gods, my fathers, you were evil." Tiamat didn't reply. She didn't have to. She had an army of demons ready to fight for her. And with Kingu, armed with the Tablet of Destiny, there was nothing Marduk could do. Tiamat's silence only gave her more power and made Marduk nervous. Marduk realized he and his gods would be slaughtered if they engaged in battle. He had to come up with a plan to buy him some time. So he said, "I see your army is ready for battle, but come if you dare and fight me. Just you and I." Tiamat's eyes were filled with fire. She told her troops to stand behind. She was going to kill Marduk herself. The demons on one side and the gods on the other watched as Tiamat charged forward. She cried fiercely as she came closer to Marduk. Tiamat was enraged, but Marduk knew better than to clash with her. He threw his net on Tiamat and stopped her advancement. But it wasn't enough. Tiamat tore it apart and opened her mouth to swallow Marduk. But Marduk used the weapon he received from Anu when he was born, the 4 winds. He let fierce winds loose on Tiamat's face, and Tiamat couldn't close her mouth. The winds filled Tiamat's body, and she tried with all she could muster to close her mouth. But as her lips were coming together, Marduk went underneath Tiamat's swollen belly and fired an arrow. The arrow flew like a diving eagle and pierced Tiamat's stomach. And before she could retreat, Marduk opened her entrails and slit her inwards. Then he threw down her corpse and stood on it. Tiamat was defeated and dead. Upon seeing their queen being torn into pieces, Tiamat's army fled. But Marduk and his army surrounded and captured them. He threw their weapons, bound their arms with ropes, and then he killed them, one after the other, until Kingu was left. Marduk snatched the tablet of destiny from Kingu, but he did not kill him. Instead, he held him prisoner. Then Marduk returned to Tiamat's lifeless corpse, and with his merciless club, he smashed her skull. Then he split her in two like a dried fish. One half of her he set up and stretched out as the heavens, with the instruction not to let her waters escape. Then Marduk appointed the year and set up 3 stars each for the 12 months. He established the heavenly station of the Nibiru star, and he opened gates on both sides of Tiamat's ribs. Marduk continued and created the moon, entrusting to him the night. Then he installed the sun, and from Tiamat's eyes he created the Euphrates and Tigris. From Tiamat's other half he created earth. When Marduk was done creating, he gave back the tablet of destiny to Anu. The gods were jubilantly happy, and Anshar embraced Marduk. Anu, Enlil, and Ea gave him gifts. His mother Damkina, who bore him, hailed him and made his face shine. All the Igigi gods and the Anunnaki gods were there. "This is the king," they said together. Lahmu and Lahamu stepped forward and spoke to all the gods. "Previously, Marduk was our beloved son. Now, he is your king. Heed his command. Whatever you command, we will do," the gods replied to Marduk. Marduk lay his weapon, the bow, before them. Anu lifted it up for everyone to see. He kissed the bow and named it Bow Star. He made it shine in the sky. And after Anu had decreed the destiny of the bow, he set down a royal throne, a lofty one even for a god. Marduk sat on the throne, and the other gods took an oath with water and oil, and put their hands to their throats. They granted Marduk the right to exercise kingship over the gods. They confirmed him as lord of the gods of heaven and the netherworld. Marduk opened his mouth to speak and addressed the other gods. "I will build a house to be my luxurious abode. When you descend from heaven to make a decision, this will be your resting place before the assembly. I shall call its name Babylon, the home of the great gods." The Anunnaki gods spent 1 year building Esagila, Marduk's temple. Then they built the great ziggurat, Etemenanki, the house of the foundation of heaven on earth. Then Marduk spoke to Ea, "I will create man. He will carry the gods' burdens so they may rest." "Then let the great gods assemble," Ea replied. Marduk assembled the great gods and asked them, "Who made Tiamat rebel and set the battle in motion?" "Kingu," the other gods replied. They bound Kingu and held him before Ea. Ea cut through his veins, and from Kingu's blood he created mankind and imposed the work of the gods upon them. With mankind now walking on earth, bearing the burdens of the gods, the cosmos had found a new order. The battles among the gods had carved out heavens, rivers, and the lands we know today. Enuma Elish left no one in Babylon to question that Marduk was the mightiest god. According to the author of Sapiens, it's the shared beliefs in myths that bound large human groups together. But it also divides people of different shared beliefs. If the Babylonians believed 100% that Marduk was the creator god, it meant the Assyrians, who believed in Ashur, couldn't even be 1% right. Imagine what you would think of people who believe that they are 100% right when you know that they are 100% wrong. While the Babylonians' shared belief in Marduk united them, it likely also caused the whole empire to fall. The last Babylonian king, Nabonidus, who worshipped the moon god Sin over Marduk, unwittingly paved the path for Cyrus the Great. The Persians promised to let the Babylonians worship Marduk as long as they accepted Cyrus as their king. And they did. But we can all learn something from one of the wisest people in history who lived when Babylon was still a vibrant city. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Socrates. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and head over to my website tableofgods.com/YT to get 3 of the world's oldest recipes and get on the waiting list for my upcoming cookbook, Table of Gods.